that freak.
Look at him.
Seems like a nice guy, and he just exudes macho.
The Nation of Jake on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
All right, so
Yes, have some.
we turn the calendar to Thursday, the first day of Ronnie James DIO-CEMBER, all month long in the Nation of Jake. That's right, year of our Lord, 2022. It's been 12 long years we've been without Ronnie James Dio, possibly the greatest rock singer ever to do it. We'll be honoring the great Ronnie James Dio for 3 full hours and intermittently throughout the month of DIO-CEMBER. On this first day of DIO-CEMBER, partly cloudy, a high of 49 degrees. Forecast calls for a rainbow in the dark, more specifically, some rain tomorrow and then all next week. But for now, it's kind of chilly, kind of cool, but I find it invigorating. I love it. So, the new Shelby County Clerk's Office location on Riverdale, it was set to open on Halloween. And then it was going to be end of this month, December 1st. That says DIO-CEMBER 1st today, and it's not open. So, Wanda Halbert has officially missed the DIO-CEMBER 1st deadline for the new Shelby County Clerk's Office location, which means you have to go use an existing location. But I do want to let you know, with the problems they've had, you do not want to go to one of those existing locations and be last in line, do you? No, you do not. You do not. We'll talk more about that coming up. Also, holy diver, what is Kanye West doing? The artist formerly known as Kanye West is all over the news right now. And here's just a sampling of what Kanye West, or Ye, as he's called, has been saying on the old internet.
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis.
Oh, my God. What he's appeared on Alex Jones' show, and he's wearing like a black morph suit. Is that what he's wearing? Or some sort of face mask. And all you really have to hear is this.
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis.
Any theories about what's going on with old Kanye? 683-0989. 683-0989. That's the Rick's Powder Coating text line. Anything you've got for me on this first day of DIO-CEMBER, let me know. Also, we'll get into some local headlines. Got a lot of follow-ups. We got to follow up on that story about the pack of wild dogs who was killing and maiming people over in West Memphis. There's an investigation now into that pack of wild dogs. Whose dogs were they? And how were they allowed to kill and maim people before animal control got a handle of that situation? That's coming up in a little bit. Also, we have a lot of clips today. SBF, as they call him, Samuel Bankman-Fried, also call him Sam Bankfraud. He was part of a couple of different functions yesterday. He was on some sort of New York Times panel, and they asked a lot of questions about this FTX scandal. He's lost billions of dollars for people, some their life savings in that crypto exchange. And then he's also on ABC News with George Snuffleupagus. So we will listen to the weird nerd who they're calling the crypto Bernie Madoff, but he doesn't see it that way. Of course he doesn't see it that way. He's just a weird nerd who got in over his head. We'll listen to those clips as well as, what's going on in the Twitterverse. And that's mostly Kanye right now.
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis.
Dude, Bud, you've been watching these clips of Kanye just all day because they just popped up a little while ago. Is it me, or does Alex Jones on his InfoWars show looks uncomfortable with what Kanye is saying?
Yeah, no, that's a first. I think he was even wasn't ready for just the random nonsense.
Oh yeah, a lot of uncomfortable laughter.
That's saying a lot.
Oh yeah, when Alex Jones is the guy in the room who is the most sane. It's amazing what's happening right now, and I don't know the angle here. I don't know if Kanye West is really got mental problems or what his end game is. Maybe he's just decided that he's so far deep into it. We'll get into that in the Twitterverse, among other things. I think the president is talking to Macron from France. I don't know. Is the president Macron is here, right? Or is the president in France? I think Macron is stateside. I think we'll talk more about that coming up in a little bit. All right. First up on the agenda, I read this in my first, I don't know about you guys, but my first reaction was,
No! God, please, no!
Options for improving Tennessee roads include choice lanes, which is a nice way, a euphemism to say toll roads. I dislike toll roads. Worst part about going anywhere like Florida is all the toll roads. You got a lot of tourism, you got a lot of people using the roads. That is also a state in which there is no income tax, which I appreciate. So in order to pay for a lot of the road projects, they have to charge tolls, which is, I guess, that's one way to do it. I mean, I just dislike it for a lot of reasons. They always say, we are going to implement a toll in order to pay for this road. And then we're going to take the toll away, but the toll never goes away because the state, and by that I mean that in a macro, I mean the state, the government, they get addicted to that income because it's never really about building the road. It's about having income. This is from Action News 5. The head of the Tennessee Department of Transportation says his agency needs $34 billion to improve highways and interstates to handle the state's growing population. And to raise that much money, the commissioner suggested creating toll roads. Oh, you know what? I will be on board with toll roads if there are toll houses. And in those houses, they give away toll house cookies. Those are my conditions. TDOT Commissioner Butch Ely said Governor Bill Lee does not want to raise the gas tax or take on any new debt, so the state wants to explore choice lanes, express lanes that you pay to use, and at least one Shelby County road is being considered. When it comes to transportation in Tennessee, according to the commissioner, we're at a very critical juncture. On Wednesday, Ely said $8 billion of the $34 billion would come from the federal government's infrastructure bill, leaving $26 billion for projects that need funding. But the state's gas tax only generates $1.2 billion a year, and only about half of that is used for road repairs and maintenance. So, got a little bit of a deficit, it would appear. Commissioner Ely suggested creating toll roads in Tennessee called managed lanes or choice lanes. Drivers would have the choice to pay a fee to use a designated express lane on a particular section of highway or interstate. Fast pass kind of thing.
They did that in D.C.
Yeah, does it work out? I mean, is it worth buying the fast pass?
Some people would probably say so. Depends on how far you have to go. And in D.C., the price changes based on traffic. So some days it might only cost you 99 cents to get all the way home. Some days it might cost you $4. It just depends on the density of traffic. And a lot of times if traffic's backed up in the main lane, it's backed up in the express lanes too.
Look, man, I've traveled. I've been all over the place. I've been to those cities like you're talking about in D.C., New York, Boston. And one of the things I appreciate about being home back down south is the lack of toll roads and stuff like that. Like that's why we live in Tennessee. That's why we live in Georgia. That's why we live in Kentucky.
You're not
because you
wrong.
don't have a lot of that stuff. You got to pay to use a bridge. You got to pay to use a tunnel. Seriously, when you go take an Uber or something in New York City or a cab, you get charged all that stuff. Like if you charter a bus, you're getting charged we went through the Lincoln Tunnel. It's like, oh, well, that cost $100, for a bus to go through. I don't know the exact numbers. Just seems like a real hassle, and I get it. If this is an optional deal where, you're not going to get pinged when you roll through. And here's the other thing, man. This is where they get you. It used to be where you had to have the change to get through the toll. You remember you drive through? I remember this, as a kid when we would go to, somewhere like Florida, and there was you had to throw 50 cents. Or on the Georgia 400, in my Atlanta days, if you wanted to go up and bypass all the mess of those interstates that connect and then split, you would go up 400, the Georgia 400. That toll was up there for 25 years. It wasn't supposed to be that long, but it was. You have to roll by and you throw your 50 cents in. So it just makes traffic crawl to a stop. And then they decided, hey, we've got this RFID technology or whatever it is, like the Fast Pass. So you can just pay monthly or as you go. I mean, you could actually cut a deal. So the easier they make it for you to pay. And they say it's all convenience, right? No, it's an easier way for them to take your money, because that's really what this is. Commissioner Ely, he's talking about this managed lanes, making it seem like, oh, you're just paying for faster access. Now, the governor, and this is good, he does not believe that toll roads from point A to point B, where the entire road is tolled, is a good idea, and I don't either. I mean, can you imagine that you have to factor in a new expense every time you go to work because your work is on the other side of the toll road? I'll tell you who would love the idea of toll roads is the Memphis City Council, because they hate it. They hate it when people who don't live in the city of Memphis come in and work in the city of Memphis, and they go back across the city line and go live in places like Bartlett or Carterville or Arlington or even in North Mississippi or over across the bridge in Arkansas. They would love to put toll roads all around Memphis, for people to go in, but all that would do was make people find different jobs, make people leave. I mean, that's essentially, you could do that if you wanted, and that's not on the table. I'm just saying, like, philosophically, that's where you are. Now, a TDOT congestion study for Memphis shows one possible solution of easing traffic problems on I-40 could be to create a reversible high-occupancy toll lane on I-40 from the 240 flyover to just east of Stage Road. But that is going to cost what? $118 million to do. And, man, reversible lanes, God, it sounds good in theory. But you guys remember when Union had all those reversible lanes? Man, being a 16-year-old driving down Union Avenue for the first time, you freaked out. They had green arrows. Bud, you didn't have to experience this. But way back when you got on Union Avenue and you were going from, midtown to downtown, they had reversible lanes. And it created a lot of problems. Because, certain parts of the day, it's hard to see. It was hard to see that kind of. You guys remember this, 683-0989. When did they get rid of the reversible lanes on Union? Because you had, X amount of lanes on Union. If they had green arrows, that was good to go. That was whatever, westbound, and then all the way back be eastbound, and they would change it. They had like one lane in the middle, and they could flex. In theory, it's great, but then you get people, idiots, distracted drivers, old people, and man, somebody going the wrong way in a lane on Union Avenue. That was big problems. Now, here we go. We got Tennessee is only one of 6 states that doesn't have any debt related to road construction. Another idea to generate revenue is to tax electric cars, but there aren't enough of them to raise serious funding for roads. You got all these people who are, driving their EVs around, and they're getting out of the gas tax. Got to go tax them.
That's what Illinois does. Illinois charges $150 for a gas car license plate. If you want to put a plate on an EV, it's like $450 or something like that.
Man, the government is going to get their money, aren't they? They will find a way. You try to incentivize electric cars. Hey, you won't pay the gas tax. Well, we'll find a way to take away that incentive. Oh, no, you're not going to get away with it. So what do you think about choice lanes? You got to look at it for what it is. I mean, look, if you need the money, Tennessee's growing. A lot of people are coming here. A lot of them because of the reason that you don't have an income tax. So if the roads are in bad shape, somebody's got to pay for it. A choice lane, a toll road. Are you in on that? I don't know. Just seems like it'll creep in, and then all the roads will be toll roads, and you add that to your expenses every month, just getting to work, just getting around. 683-0989, 683-0989. That's the Rick's Powder Coating text line. We'll hear from the weird nerd, Sam Bank Fraud. They were applauding this guy yesterday. He made off with a bunch of money. Loaning himself billions of dollars, living in a mansion in the Bahamas, and somehow he's still like the golden child of crypto. He just got in over his head, didn't he? We'll talk about that coming up, as well as celebrating DIO-CEMBER all month long, the great Ronnie James Dio. Coming up next, what's going on with the packs of wild dogs who are killing and maiming people in West Memphis? Just another reason, stay on this side of the river. We'll talk about it next right here in the Nation of Jake. It's the first day of DIO-CEMBER in the Nation of Jake. I hope you celebrate, man. A little man with a big voice gone too soon. Yeah, love Ronnie James Dio. Look, we go deep in the nation of Jake, okay? Look, there are no rock stations doing DIO-CEMBER. They'll do September, all right? September is mainstream. DIO-CEMBER is only in the nation of Jake on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. More on why I love Ronnie James Dio so much coming up in a little bit. He's the guy who is credited with creating the metal horns. The devil horns that you see at every concert you go to, regardless if it's a rock show or a country show, it could be an Adele show. People will still do the metal horns. Rock and roll, baby. That was all Ronnie James Dio. I will share with you the story, the origin of the devil horns, the metal horns, coming up in a little bit. All right, 683-0989. Bud, the producer, are you a fan of Ronnie James Dio?
It's one of those, if it's on, cool. I got no problem with it. I wouldn't go out of my way for it, but I wouldn't tell anyone to turn it off either.
That is the exact wrong attitude to have during DIO-CEMBER. We're celebrating the man. All right, so this story came out yesterday, and it was terrifying. West Memphis Animal Services is now investigating a fatal dog attack after they received news that a dog attack victim from November 8th died from his injuries early last week. According to West Memphis police, the victim, David Sullivan, claimed he was attacked by multiple dogs near a property on South 19th Street around 1 a.m. that morning. Upon arrival, I made contact with the victim, David Sullivan, lying in a puddle of water in a ditch. Sullivan advised he was walking past 121 South 19th Street and was attacked by multiple dogs. I observed at the residence multiple dogs standing by the open gate of the residence. Sullivan had multiple bite marks on his legs and arms. EMS arrived on the scene, and Sullivan was transported to Baptist Crittenden for further treatment. Through dispatch, Animal Control was contacted, and they advised a follow-up with the owner at 121 South 19th Street will be conducted in the morning. Now, 2 weeks later, on November 16th, another person, a woman, is attacked by dogs near the same property. Now, she's expected to recover, which is good. They're talking about how she was chewed up. I mean, that her ankles, like meat taken from her legs. You've got Carrie Facello, director of the West Memphis Animal Services, said that after learning about Sullivan's passing, she and her team were instructed to seize all of the dogs on that property. 14 dogs, four adult dogs, and 10 puppies have been impounded by the West Memphis Animal Shelter. The owner was cooperative, and everybody was well settled in and taken care of. Now, more investigation is taking place to determine where the attacks took place and which dogs were responsible. That's going to be difficult. And you have, 4 adult dogs and 10 puppies, 14 dogs. You're not going to know which ones took part in the attack. I mean, depending on, a puppy, they can still be very big, depending on what the breed of dog is. We don't have that information, unfortunately. But, man, think about this. You've got, dogs, I guess. Is it some sort of junkyard situation that these might be junkyard dogs or a property that looks like a junkyard? They're talking about, this is a property with a bunch of motorbikes. Let's see. We got motorbikes are repaired on the property. People have taken cars over the property, so this might be a junkyard dog situation. Oh, I can stand by me, Chopper, the dog. Sometimes you got dogs running around in junkyards, kind of a more rural type area. It must be somebody who wasn't from around here, because the dogs know everybody that normally walk up and down here, according to Vernon Taylor, who is a resident and lives nearby. There's a new leash law in West Memphis once a dog is off the property, but there's also a no tether law. So they're trying to figure out, if you got 14 dogs, don't they all have to be put down if they were involved in an attack? It's not like you can question the dogs to find out. It's not like you can line them all up and say, all right, who did it? Step forward. If you attack those poor people and left them in the ditch, there's a bit of a communication issue there. You might get the Cesar Milan, was that his name? the dog whisperer, find out, maybe match up some bite marks from which dogs. Ugly, ugly situation. Wondering why this wasn't cinched up immediately after the first dog attack and the dogs were left to attack again. And it doesn't matter if they're strangers or not. People should be able to walk the streets of West Memphis with a reasonable expectation of not being eaten by wild dogs. Let's listen to the weird nerd Samuel Bankfraud. This is music for September.
Yes, have some.
This is DIO-CEMBER, baby. Yeah. Ronnie James DIO-CEMBER. DIO-CEMBER first in the nation of Jake. He was the originator of the devil horns, and the story straight from Ronnie James Dio is coming up very soon. Very soon right here in the nation of Jake. 683-0989. 683-0989. The Rick's Powder Coating text line. Anybody with anything on the text line, Bud,
we got a
worthy?
731 Anonymous over here. I heard Tom Petty on 3 different stations at the same time today. Bring metal radio back to Memphis, please.
Woo, man, from your lips to God's ears. This is the closest you're going to get to metal radio in Memphis. And it's a talk show. That just says more about the state of metal on the radio than really anything else. But yeah, I will always rep Dio in DIO-CEMBER, baby. A little last in line action. Let's go. Stand up and shouts. Oh, what else do we have? Let's Dirt Dog talking about Dio over here. Yeah, I think he's talking about
saw him at Black Sabbath in '92 on the Dehumanizer tour. Is that right?
Yeah. Ronnie James Dio. He doesn't get a lot of credit for it, but he took over for Ozzy Osbourne and Sabbath, and they put out 3 really great records with Ronnie James Dio. That's a tough job. Think about it, man. Probably the greatest replacement singer of all time in a band has got to be Brian Johnson of AC/DC. I mean, to step in and fill the shoes with Back in Black, the follow-up to Highway to Hell after the death of Bon Scott, impossible. But Brian Johnson nailed it. But if you go for the other replacement singers, you got to put Ronnie James Dio up top. I mean, replacing a legend in a band like Ozzy Osbourne, I'm not going to say that Sabbath was better with Dio, but Sabbath was pretty good with Ronnie James Dio. And more on Ronnie James Dio, and I get this is a very narrow niche kind of thing this day and age. Coming up in a little bit. All right. So I did clarify, President Biden is not in France. I don't know why I thought he might be in France. I know he was meeting with Macron. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, was here for a state dinner, the first state dinner of Biden's term. Now, President Biden today, he's talking about, he always compliments, the folks who were in town to visit. That's what you do. They're guests. So today, President Biden was talking about the bond that the U.S. has with our friends in France.
My friend and I were talking. France is our oldest ally, our unwavering partner in freedom's cause. From the spirit of Marcus de Lafayette, who helped secure the success of our revolution.
Marcus de Lafayette? Who the hell is Marcus de Lafayette? I think he means General Marquis de Lafayette. Man, my 8-year-old knows that. She's seen Hamilton twice. And so she knows Lafayette. Marcus Lafayette. Well, it's like, Kenny Pasteur. Come on. All right, so we'll get into that. I'm sure that's all trending in the Twitterverse. That's coming up in about an hour from now. I do want to go through these clips of Sam Bankfraud. I'm talking about Samuel Bankman-Fried. This is the young man who started the FTX, the company, the crypto exchange. And we've talked about him before. It's collapsed. It's bankrupt. And there are a lot of really bad things coming out of the bankruptcy because that's what they do is they go through the books, kind of do some forensics on what was done. Essentially, all signs point to this being a scam. But he's not acting like it was a scam. He's not speaking through a lawyer. He's going on panels with the New York Times. Sam Bankfraud is going on ABC with George Snuffleupagus. So there's all these clips. And I don't know about you guys, but all I hear is this weird nerd. Check out what he says. I guess he's asked about, is he worried about going to jail? Is he worried about facing criminal charges?
But I think the real answer is that's not what I'm focusing on. There's going to be a time and a place for me to sort of think about myself and my own future, but I don't think this is it. Like, right now, I mean, look, I've had a bad month. This has not been a fun month for me, but that's not what matters here. Like,
that was actual laughter when he says, look, I had a bad month. It's like, well, that's a little bit of an understatement, isn't it, Sam Bankfraud? Now, this is him at this New York Times forum.
What matters here is the millions of customers. What matters here is all the stakeholders in FTX who got hurt and trying to do everything I can to help them out. And, you know, as long as that's the case, like, I don't think that, you know, what happens with me is
He's not worried about what happens to him. He's worried about making it right with all the investors who lost billions of dollars in FTX. That's the equivalent of OJ hunting for the real killer. We're going to find out who did this, guys. The guy in the hot dog suit. I just listened to him. Here's basically what I think Samuel Bankfraud was able to do. I mean, when you want to simplify it. Now, feel free to correct me if you want. Crypto has been creeping up and getting big, and a lot of people have been getting rich. Very few people understood it. I remember 10 years ago, a guy texted me about Bitcoin, and I had no idea really how it would all work, so I just ignored it. Which, I could have put $50, $100 in or whatever and been a millionaire. I mean, it was that cheap. Well, Sam Bankfraud, he saw the opportunity that people, legit people, celebrities, investors, they wanted to get into the crypto game. So what he did essentially is he made them think that he understood exactly how it all works. But what he really understood how to do is how to take advantage of it and move money around. You know, he knew how to enrich himself on crypto. And so everybody's like, hey, we want you to do with our money what you're doing with your money. They go, oh, absolutely, I can do that. And then he had the shell game behind the scenes. He was holding people's assets, and he pulled a Bernie Madoff, essentially, is what he's done. Manipulating the market, creating his own crypto, being over-leveraged, and it all kind of came crashing down because there was a leaked document, and he's like, well, you caught me. And that is really what it comes down to. This guy doesn't give a flip about anybody's money. He's just upset he got caught. In fact, he's talking to George Stephanopoulos, or he's talking to this New York Times panel, and there was a situation where Sam Bankfraud was texting with a Vox Media reporter, and he full on admits, that wasn't for public consumption. That wasn't supposed to be made public. Here's some of that clip.
Review, I think perhaps inadvertently over Twitter DMs with a reporter at Vox, and had spoken about ESG, but also about what you described as the shibboleths of what it meant to look good in corporate America today. And that a lot of the things that you were doing were not necessarily things you actually believed or believed in. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a frustrating experience. It was not meant to be a public interview. It was a longtime friend of mine who I stupidly forgot was also a reporter. I thought I was speaking in a personal capacity. I'm not sure what they thought the capacity was at the time, but it certainly ended up being reported on.
So this is the guy that people entrusted billions of dollars with, is a guy who got on Twitter DMs and started spilling out all these real thoughts he was having. So he sent these DMs, these direct messages to this reporter over Twitter about how this effective altruism, this philosophy that he needs to enrich himself so he can invest in making the world better on climate change or social justice or whatever it is. He called essentially this effective altruism, which was like the main plank of his philosophy. He called it a dumb game we woke Westerners play. And the big regret he has is that what he thought was a private conversation was made public. And to translate, it's like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's what I really meant. I didn't know that everybody was going to see that. So you were essentially caught in a lie. And that's why he regrets it. I mean, so he's showing you who he is. I just can't understand how this guy feels so comfortable in coming out and not speaking through a lawyer. He's being hosted by the New York Times. He's on with George Snuffleupagus, I guess, live from the Bahamas, where I guess he feels like, if he didn't do anything illegal there. So he's the guy sounds like a real idiot after the fact. I didn't know. I didn't mean to commit fraud. I didn't knowingly commingle funds. Like, well, then what did you know?
There is a view that this is about commingling of funds. Right. And in that letter that I just read you, this gentleman actually copy and pasted the terms of service for FTX into the email.
All right, and part of this letter that this guy's citing, this host at the New York Times summit, is that this guy lost his life savings in FTX. And so it's how do you respond to somebody who has lost their life savings, some $2 million, in this FTX crypto exchange? And so part of the terms of service is these commingled funds between this Alameda Research and FTX. But just listen to the answers here.
And I just want to read you this. It says, none of the digital assets in your account are the property of or shall or may be loaned to FTX Trading. FTX Trading does not represent or treat digital assets in users' accounts as belonging to FTX Trading. So how is it possible that Alameda had this loan of such a large size?
So there's that piece from the terms of service, but there were a number of other parts of the terms of service and a number of other parts of the platform on top of that. There is the borrow lending facility, where users were lending billions of dollars of assets to each other, collateralized by assets on the exchange.
And this is where he gets into a lot of esoteric jargon with his nerdy little voice, and then people like, if he just keeps on filling up the air and he keeps on saying all these nerdy things with all these different, insider terms, that somebody will just kind of glaze over and be like, okay, I believe you. Because that's it. Because he is a weird nerd who convinced a lot of rich people that he knew what he was doing. And maybe he did know what he was doing, but what he was doing was fraudulent because he essentially stole their money. How do you explain all the personal loans that he took out, the billions of dollars that he took out, all the money that they were spending, he and his folks, his parents with all these ties to Democrats and academia were buying all this beachfront property in the Bahamas? I mean, how do you square all that? But the fact that this dude is not in jail, not being extradited, I know that I think this month, sometime in DIO-CEMBER, he is slated to go before a House panel or committee. So now we've got, let's see, then he was on ABC. He's on ABC with George Stephanopoulos. Here's part of that interview.
They're saying they didn't approve of it here. They're saying you approved of it.
If you rewind to the beginning of FTX, where some customers were I think in line with sort of existing relationships that they've had, at least in some cases, wiring money straight to Alameda Research in order to trade on FTX.
So you do know, and you did know, that FTX deposits were being funneled to Alameda.
So I was vaguely aware that was how some wires were being sent in the first place.
Didn't that set off alarm bells in your head?
So there are a lot of people who are involved in that process. And look, I really deeply wish that I had taken a lot more responsibility for understanding what the details were of what was going on there.
At your own company? At the company that you started as an offshoot of your hedge fund? I wish I had taken a lot more responsibility for understanding what the details were of what was going on at FTX, the company you started, the terms of service, that you were the CEO and founder of the company. I wish I was just because we look at him, we kind of pity him because he's this fat nerd. man boobs and doesn't shower, doesn't know how to shave properly, that kind of stuff. It's like, how can this guy, that's honestly, I worked with a guy named Jason one time, and Jason's like a really good dude, but he's kind of a goon, kind of a goober. His shirt was never pressed. His tie always looked bad. He would miss parts of his face when he would shave, and he looked like an idiot. He looked like a complete idiot, but he was a really sharp guy. But when he met with clients and he would pitch proposals to them, part of the disarming charm was, there's no way this guy's trying to pull something over on me. There's no way this guy's too unassuming. He's too much of a social reject. There's no way this guy is that slick that he's trying to pull one over on me. And that's what this guy's game is. Be an unassuming nerd. And that way people will trust you. Like, oh, look at this guy. There's no way he's trying to hurt anybody. He's got this effective altruism. He drives a Corolla. In the meantime, he's taking out loans, over-leveraging the company, using user funds, their whole savings, and he's buying a bunch of beachfront property in the Bahamas. And somehow, he's in the Bahamas. He's still there. He's staying there. He's being featured on New York Times, on ABC. He should be sitting in the same jail cell as Bernie Madoff right now. But no, that's not going to happen. Somehow, they're going to allow this guy, for whatever reason, or for whatever deposits he's made into the bank accounts of politicians, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or other, he might have dirt on him. We'll see. I think a lot of people are holding out hope maybe they'll get their money back, but they're not gonna. 683-0989, 683-0989. I don't know why this weird nerd gets on my nerves so much. Because, there's a lot of us, myself included, I always played by the rules, man. I've never stolen. I've never done anything shady like that. I realize that there's some people who, strike it rich. Now, I'm not envious of what anybody else has, but I do play by the rules here. And he doesn't, and he's not in jail. There's a lot of people who've done a lot less than that guy, and they are rotting in prison. 683-0989. He's also a weird nerd. All right. I like mainstream nerds, not weird ones. You're the weird one. All right, 683-0989, whatever you got for me on the Rick's Powder Coating text line. In a little bit, we'll get some local headlines, see what's going on around Memphis and the Mid-South. Coming up next, though, the story behind the metal horns from the great Ronnie James Dio himself on this first day of DIO-CEMBER in the nation of Jake. Yeah! You got to celebrate DIO-CEMBER in style. We'll stand up and shout. Such a clean and strong voice. Old Ronnie James Dio. He got his start a long time ago, did old Dio. He was in 1957, he was in a rock band, I think, called the Vegas Kings. And then he was recruited by Richie Blackmore. Richie Blackmore was like, hey, I'm starting a band called Rainbow. I want you to be the singer. And so he's like, okay, cool. I'm in. And then from there, he took over for Ozzy with Black Sabbath, but he had already started his own band, Dio. And you guys know Dio. Dio was, when did you become conscious of who Ronnie James Dio was, Bud the producer? Is the Rainbow in the Dark? I mean, was that the song? That's the one everybody knows.
It was probably Holy Diver, but knowing him by name was from a South Park episode.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
They had him come in for a concert. I forget what exactly the situation was. I'd have to look it up.
I remember as a kid just seeing the Dio logo and just how awesome it looked. And so I was like, what is a Dio? So I started listening to Ronnie James Dio, and as I got older and into rock, started playing guitar, then I really started getting into the catalog. But one thing that you see everywhere in the world is the devil horns, the metal horns, right? Everybody uses it. It doesn't even matter. It's like, hell yeah, and you just, rock on, man. Well, what is the devil horns, and why is Ronnie James Dio credited with inventing the devil horns? Here it is from the great Ronnie James Dio himself.
I'm of Italian extraction, and my grandmother and my grandfather on both sides of both my mother's and father's side came to America from Italy and they had superstitions. And I would always see my grandmother when I was a little kid, with her holding my hand and walking down the street. She would see someone and go, "What's that?" And eventually learned that it was called the Maloik. And the Maloik was someone was giving us the evil eye, so she's giving it protection against the evil eye. Or you can give someone the evil eye too. So invent it, no, but perfect it and make it important, yes.
Yeah, invent it. He says he didn't invent the Maloik. The Maloik is what it's called. It is the devil horns, and that's to ward off evil. So it's not evil itself. It's to ward off evil. All right, so calling it the devil horns is actually wrong. We should call it the Maloik. Maloik. Now, don't tell Ye, don't tell Kanye, but that sounds kind of Jewish, doesn't it? Maloik. So next time, seriously, you learn stuff in the Nation of Jake. Next time somebody does the devil horns, you say, actually, that's called the Maloik. And that's to ward off evil, not to celebrate evil. So it's inclusive. There you have it. On the first day of DIO-CEMBER, you learned about the Maloik. Let's do some local headlines. We'll get into them next right here in the Nation of Jake.
Jake? Jake's my boy!
Look at him.
That's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that.
The Nation of Jake on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
All right, here we go.
Yes, have some.
Hour number 2 of the Nation of Jake here on DIO-CEMBER first. That's right, Ronnie James, DIO-CEMBER. I always love it. You got No Shave November. I don't shave anyway. Rolls right into DIO-CEMBER. It also happens to be my birth month, DIO-CEMBER 13th. I will turn 44 years old. That's right. So you know what that means? That means I got to get to the radio ranch at some point because there's going to be cake. Courtney just emailed me, asked me what kind of cake I want because I, yes, am a DIO-CEMBER baby. So I told her I want yellow cake, chocolate icing with a big fat picture of Ronnie James Dio on it. Bud, did they ask you what kind of cake you wanted back in October?
No. They did not.
No, they didn't. They didn't. That's because I'm special. It might be because I'm the only one. I don't know. Is there any other December people? I don't know what to find out.
I'd have to go in the break room and look at the board.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's a birthday board in the break room. So welcome to DIO-CEMBER. We will celebrate more of the great Ronnie James Dio. And if you don't know who Dio is, it's all right. Just look him up. Look him up on your Spotify. Check out 98.1 The Max. I'm sure that they are playing a lot of Dio these days. I love Ronnie James Dio. And not just the hits. You know, you guys know Rainbow in the Dark. And you know Holy Diver. And you might know Last in Line, which is where you don't want to be if you're getting your tags renewed. Because then you'll get sent home if you're last in line. That's right. December 1st was one of the deadlines that Wanda Halbert gave for the new Riverdale Shelby County Clerk's Office. That has also not been met. It was October 31st, Halloween, and that's when Harold Collins of the county, the chief administrative officer, handed over the keys, said, here you go. And then she actually, what'd she say? She said, I will let you know when it's going to open. It says it's going to be end of November, 1st of December, something like that. That's what Wanda said, right?
We are going to immediately notify you all when we are ready or close to even being ready. And that should be no later than the end of the month, 1st of December.
1st of DIO-CEMBER. Well, it's come, it's here, and they're still not open. So I'm guessing we should do like a bet, like a calendar. Like what day do you think it's going to open? I think maybe, Friday, 9th, January 9th, Monday, January 9th at the earliest is what I'm going to guess. All right, coming up in a little bit, we're going to jump into the Twitterverse, and I'm just going to let you know right now, it's going to be mostly Ye. Mostly the artist formerly known as Kanye West. Because, look, this guy, I don't know what's going on with the guy. Some people speculate that he's having another mental breakdown. Other people speculate that this is all performance art. This is all some sort of bit. This is all an elaborate work, like professional wrestling. But we have just here's a sampling of some of the things that Kanye West has been saying today.
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis. We're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time.
We got to stop dissing the Nazis all the time. We'll get more context as to what Ye is talking about coming up in the Twitterverse in about 25 minutes or so. What else do we have? Oh, yeah, I got a lot more. Got a bunch of clips today. These are all clips. You know, John Kirby, he's the Pentagon spokesman. All right, I think I called him the penthouse spokesman at one point, and I don't know why I keep on wanting to do that. He's a Pentagon spokesman, admiral in the Navy. Are there, Bud, you were in the Navy. Were there like portraits of Admiral Kirby around? You're familiar with this guy, right?
There might have been. I didn't see him. Most of my commands weren't Navy commands, so the command staff wasn't always Navy folks.
All right. Well, this guy John Kirby, he's the one they put in the White House press briefings from time to time to talk about Pentagon stuff. There wasn't speculation that they put him in there because KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, was not up to snuff, and then he put that to rest. But this guy, I'm going to make the argument coming up in just a few minutes. He's worse. He's way worse than Karine Jean-Pierre at his job. So stay tuned for that. We have some headlines here from Memphis in the Mid-South. You know, as we talked about and explored here, the Tennessee Department of Transportation is exploring the options of toll roads throughout the state, including Memphis in the Mid-South. The head of TDOT, Commissioner Butch Ely, says he needs $34 billion to improve highways and interstates. And we got a lot of people who are moving into Tennessee, a lot of people moving Nashville way, and over here in Memphis and everywhere in between, and want to take advantage of having no income tax. Well, there's some $26 billion deficit between the money that is allotted for road repairs and improvements and actual money that's being raised. Well, they're saying that toll roads might be the answer here. Not just a toll road that blocks you from getting somewhere with a toll house, none shall pass kind of thing, but express lanes. And they're saying that it could be an express lane at I-40 over the 240 flyover to where, I guess, for $118 million, they could create some sort of fast pass situation. I don't like the idea of tolls. Look, in a fast pass situation, you create a lot of havoc. You create a lot of confusion. I get it. It's going to take a while. There are growing pains. But really what it comes down to is it's just another way for the state to take your money from you. And I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I'm not on board. If it's the only way, then it's the only way. But I'm not down with tolls unless there are toll house cookies involved. And then who could resist? Hey, the Greater Memphis Chamber has chosen a new CEO. Well, they're saying it's a CEO, but they also say it's a Chief Economic Development Officer. So it's a CEDO, a CEDO. The Greater Memphis Chamber announced its next Chief Economic Development Officer on Thursday, choosing Memphian Gwen Fisher for the role. The Chamber describes Fisher as a Memphian who has played a pivotal role in attracting jobs and investment to Greater Memphis for nearly a decade. Fisher will assume the role officially on DIO-CEMBER 14th. So congratulations to Gwen Fisher. Also, I read, and this was some sort of trending article from the Daily Memphian, get a look at the new board of directors at AutoZone. Look, no offense to AutoZone. I love that outlet. I love going there. I love to buy auto parts from AutoZone and the like. But does anybody really care who's on the board of directors? So I clicked on it, of course, and it was all about, how many males versus how many females, how many white people versus non-whites. And it's like, oh my God, is that the... First of all, nobody cares who is on the board of directors at AutoZone. Not one single person not employed by AutoZone cares who is on their board of directors. Most people don't even know what the board of directors does at AutoZone. The only interest that the Daily Memphian had on the board of directors at AutoZone was the color of the skin and the gender of the people on the board at AutoZone. They wanted to make sure that it was a perfect reflection of diversity in the world or in Memphis. And I think it was up to snuff. I think it was 30% women and 30% non-white folk. some combination of those two. So yeah, it got this stamp of approval from people who look at the world that way. Unfortunately, we got news last night. An employee was killed at a FedEx facility on Wednesday afternoon. FedEx confirmed the employee's death in a statement. We can confirm the loss of one of our team members this afternoon and are deeply saddened. Our heartfelt thoughts are with our team member's family, colleagues, and all those affected by this event. The circumstances surrounding this tragic incident are still under investigation, and FedEx is fully cooperating with investigating authorities. So the victim's identity has not yet been released at this time, or at least I have not seen it. These are situations where, you were in you're in a venue at a workplace with a lot of heavy machinery. I know they use forklift, they use conveyors, they use electric pallet jacks and cherry pickers and reach trucks. And look, accidents do happen. You have a lot of rules and you have a lot of protocols to cut down on those accidents. But as somebody who is the son of a former director of corporate safety for FedEx, accidents happen, and it's very sad. The one thing that you have to do is always fear and respect that equipment that you're using at the hub. Another terrible story. A 15-year-old was shot at the Sonic next to Kirby High School. A 15-year-old teen, which is redundant, was wounded in a shooting nearby a Memphis high school on Wednesday afternoon. The teen was taken to Le Bonheur in critical condition, but was later updated to non-critical. That's good news. It's unclear if the victim is a student at Kirby High. Memphis police were called to a shooting next to Kirby High School shortly after 2:30 p.m. I guess that's when kids get out of school these days at the high school level. Police say the shooting happened at Sonic, which is next door. Bystanders who stopped by the scene said they're concerned about gun violence, obviously. The suspects are 5 black men wearing ski masks in a dark gray 4-door Mercedes. I don't know what kind of, 5 guys in ski masks are targeting a 15-year-old. I don't know how old these young men are. So it's unfortunate. A lot of foolishness going on in Memphis. What is this? Let's see. Le Bonheur Children's Hospital has seen more than 127 patients with gunshot wounds this year. A children's hospital with that many kids being shot. What is it? Even with, 10 kids treated this month. 8 Memphis children, juveniles, have been shot in the last 10 days. That is an ugly, ugly statistic. We got more idiots. Yesterday we were talking about all the porch pirates. You have to be some kind of dumb to go out in this day and age when security cameras are affordable and ubiquitous, as they are. Everybody's got a Ring camera these days. Some people have more sophisticated surveillance equipment, and it's a lot of high def, 4K. They're going to find you. This is more on yesterday. They said that she went onto a porch in East Memphis, but it was really, as my man Freddie points out, it was like Bardova. It was like the Bartlett, Cordova area that's still in Memphis, in the city of. But it's not East Memphis, all right? And just to clarify, I was told by Freddie B., East Memphian for life, he says, if you cannot be at the base of the Clark Tower in 5 minutes, then you're not in East Memphis, which I think is pretty accurate when you're describing it. So the news should know better. But anyway, so this fat lady is going around, like not even wearing a mask and going and porch pirating. It's like, even now with masks being normalized, you're going to go walk up in the daytime, just brazen porch pirating. And I checked the Facebook, nobody's identified her yet, which really surprises me. Maybe she has no friends. All right, but we've got, not only that, we got this guy, he's been arrested now in a string of car burglaries because he stole somebody's iPad. Look, if you steal an iPad or an iPhone, I don't know exactly how it works, but they got the Find Your iPhone where they can track you. And I know how that works, but I mean, sometimes even if you turn it off, they can still track you. If you're stealing that kind of stuff and you're stealing stuff off people's porches, you're an idiot and you deserve to be caught. Good Lord. Oh, no, we got more crime. I do want to leave it with this. This is something that broke late in the show yesterday. You may have missed it. I did. University of Memphis now is mourning the loss of former head coach Chuck Stobart of the Memphis Tiger football team. He passed away on Tuesday at the age of 88. You might remember Coach Stobart was head coach for Tiger football from 89 to 94. He was a coach when Memphis went on the road and beat USC, and that was a big win. He had 3 6-5 seasons, 3 winning seasons in a row. At the time, that was pretty impressive. That was back when Memphis would go and play anyone, anywhere. They beat number 17 USC 24-10 back in 91. Number 25 Mississippi State 45-35 during the 1993 season. I actually went to middle school with Chuck Stobart's son, John. So, our thoughts are with John and the Stobart family. I remember good things about Chuck Stobart. He's a tough dude, and he's now passed at the age of 88. All right, 683-0989. That is the Rick's Powder Coating text line. We'll get your thoughts on the Rick's Powder Coating text line. But coming up next, there are a couple of clips of Admiral John Kirby, the Pentagon, not Penthouse, but Pentagon spokesman. And I'm going to make the argument that just in these 2 clips illustrates that he is worse at his job than Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, is at hers. All right, so let's get into that next right here in the Nation of Jake. All right.
Yes, have some.
We will see what is trending in the Twitterverse coming up, and I'm just going to let you know it's going to be a lot of Kanye, a lot of yay in the Twitterverse today. He's all over the place because he is saying some insane things.
We're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time.
Yeah, that's just part of it.
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis.
Well, and nobody really knows what's going on. Some people speculate that he's mentally unwell, and people keep on putting him on their podcasts and talk shows that he belongs in some sort of institution right now. Because the things he's saying, you cannot justify them even a little bit. All right, so that's coming up in just a few minutes here in the Nation of Jake. Now, we often check in with the White House press briefing. I usually allow the national shows to do their things. I like to keep it Memphis as much as possible. But I was thinking about this yesterday. Karine Jean-Pierre, she's a White House press secretary, and she's no good at her job. She stumbles, she fumbles, she responds to questions without really answering them, essentially. Here's just an example from yesterday when they were talking about this whole Twitter dust-up.
On another subject, when are you guys going to delete the White House Twitter account?
Why would we do that?
Well, you're saying that you're keeping an eye on Twitter because it might not be a suitable platform, so why use it?
Look, I want to be very clear here. The president has always said, and he has been very, very clear in his belief that it is important of social media platforms to continue to take steps to reduce hate speech and misinformation. And will continue to say that. But media platforms make independent choices about their information that they present. And so, look, I don't have anything to share on any policy or any changes that we will be making. We have multiple platforms, as you know, that we utilize to communicate with the American people.
So, it's always just a bunch of nothing. And it's easy to beat up on her because she sounds so disoriented when it comes to answering questions. Now, John Kirby, Admiral John Kirby, Pentagon spokesman, this guy, he's a lot more polished, but he says ridiculous things. I think he was on Fox and Friends the other day. I'm searching for the clip right now. They were talking about Afghanistan. They were citing a report from the Department of Defense talking about how at the withdrawal from Afghanistan and how big of a disaster it was. Listen to what he has to say in response.
Let's talk about the Defense Department's annual report, because it is saying that Biden's fumbled withdrawal from Afghanistan was a propaganda gift to China. Do you agree with that?
No, I do not. And I don't know that that's the Pentagon's assessment that it was a propaganda gift to China. If anything, nations like China and Russia took a look at what we did in Afghanistan, and we've talked about this many, many times over the last year, and had to marvel at the speed, the efficiency, and the effectiveness that a very small number of troops, Brian, you listen to me now, hear me out, a small number of troops were able to move that many Afghans safely out of that country. No other nation in the world can do that.
Did you hear Kilmeade there was like not having it. He's like, oh, please. They had to marvel at the Afghan withdrawal, which most people described as a disaster. I mean, not only did 13 service members get killed, you also, in response, the Department of Defense, they drone struck an entire family who had nothing to do with it. You know, they said, oh, we found the ISIS planner. We drone struck him from the sky. And it turned out to be a family that had nothing to do with it. And we left a bunch of weapons there. And, you know, it was right after President Biden said there will be no Saigon-like evacuation with the helicopter. And there was. It was unmitigated disaster. And for this guy to go in front of God and everybody and say that, oh, no, China and Russia, they had to marvel at the speed. Oh, the cat-like reflexes. And then he was back on Fox. And to his credit, going on Fox, talking to Martha McCallum. We'll listen to a little bit of this. Now, this is fantastic TV. If you want to watch the whole clip, I will retweet it so you can see it for yourself. But here's a sampling.
General, and we've been clear about this all around the world. We want individual citizens, no matter what government they live under, to be able to communicate freely and openly, transparently and reliably. And we've made that clear with respect to Iran, and we certainly continue to make that clear here with respect to China.
Have you made that clear to Apple?
Apple's a private company, Martha. They have to make decisions, and they have to speak for those decisions. But here at the White House, here in the administration, we want to see that individual citizens, whether they're protesting or not, but in this case, I know that's the context we're talking about, are able to communicate freely and openly.
But why not say something to Apple? Because we were just told the other day that the White House is keeping an eye on Elon Musk and Twitter. So why would you say that from the podium? You didn't say it, but Karine Jean-Pierre said it, and not call Apple out for helping the Chinese government.
I want you to go ahead and just go follow Nation of Jake on Twitter, because we're going to get into the Twitterverse, and you have to see the rest of this exchange. I mean, the double standard between how the White House is treating Twitter and Apple is obscene. Twitterverse is next, right here in the Nation of Jake.
Yes, have some.
All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake. News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. 683-0989, 683-0989. That is the Rick's Powder Coating text line. It's also the phone number to the studio. Bud, the producer, is behind the controls today back in the East Memphis studios. We've got Name Drop coming up in about a half an hour. If you want to play Name Drop, you call that number, 683-0989. I got some Malco movie passes for our Name Drop winner today. Somebody who is making the news, somebody whose voice you may or may not have heard, but somebody who you should be able to identify if you just listen. You listen to the clip, you identify who's speaking, and then you can win some Malco movie passes with Name Drop coming up in about half an hour. We'll also talk to Ron Hart today. His latest column is FIFA Las Vegas. I guess he's taking on FIFA and the World Cup and their decision to go over to Qatar, which has not really been very friendly to World Cup fans. We'll talk about that with Ron Hart in about an hour from now. So keep it right here in the Nation of Jake. Now is the time of the program. We see what is trending.
Masters of the Twitterverse.
These are trending topics and viral videos, viral stories. You can follow me on Twitter at Nation of Jake. That's at Nation of Jake on Twitter. Bud, the producer, is along for the ride as well. Mostly today, it's going to be about the artist formerly known as Kanye West. He goes by Ye now, and he's saying a lot of stuff that might make you say, hey now, what is going on? And now some people are speculating Kanye West is unwell. He is ill. He's having some sort of mental breakdown. It's been going on for weeks, if not months. The anti-Semitism is now blown into full-on Nazi apologist language. He was on the InfoWars podcast there with Alex Jones, and it's very you're in a precarious position when you make Alex Jones the voice of reason in a room. Here's a clip here from the InfoWars podcast.
You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
Well, I see good things about Hitler also. I love everyone, and Jewish people are not going to tell me you can love, us, and you can love what we're doing to you with the contracts, and you can love what we're pushing with the pornography. But this guy that invented highways, invented the very microphone that I use as a musician. You can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good, and I'm done with that. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
Oh, my goodness. Especially Hitler.
It just keeps getting worse.
It really does. He's saying things that defy any kind of logic. In fact, that phrase right there, he said at the end, especially Hitler.
That they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
That is trending. There are 15,000 tweets or more than, which I guess are contain especially Hitler. So, look, I don't know. Look, I've never looked into what Hitler did as far as inventing highways or microphones. I think that maybe, there were things that Hitler did. I'm not praising Hitler right now, but the Volkswagen, like he ordered, the Volkswagen, the People's Wagon to be made. I think that Siemens microphones were the preferred microphones of Nazi Germany. I know he used Siemens microphones, and maybe that company way back when decided to take money from Hitler to develop better microphones. But he didn't invent the microphone. Well, that's not. I don't think that is Hitler's contribution. Regardless of anything that Hitler ever did that might have been positive or useful, it's all overshadowed with the murder and extermination of 6 million Jews, the whole Holocaust thing. So it doesn't matter. Look, if I had to say one positive thing about Hitler, he killed Hitler. I mean, if you want to get into it, say what you want about Hitler, but Hitler did. He's the guy who killed Hitler. And to me, that's the best thing he ever did. But man, look, you're watching this clip with Kanye, and Kanye's is he wearing a morph suit? Bud, can we find out what or is he wearing one of those? He's wearing a mask. He's wearing a black mask. It's like one of those morph suit masks, like a Slender Man mask, but it's black. And I think that it might be something that Kim Kardashian wore at one of those Met Galas or something. So the whole thing is very odd.
Trying to Google what was Kanye wearing, it skips right over that and goes straight to the Hitler stuff.
Oh, of course, of course. Here we go. Here's another really odd clip from Kanye with Alex Jones.
It's like he had a really cool outfit and stuff, and he was a really good architect. And
wait, is he talking about Hitler had a cool outfit, and he was a good architect?
You're in love with the look of it.
And he didn't kill 6 million Jews. That's just like factually incorrect.
Guys, get the Ronald Reagan clip they showed me yesterday. Sorry, go ahead. Ronald Reagan said that too. Well, I think Hitler did target and kill some people. So I think
I think Obama killed Palestinians.
No, I hear you. Here's where I think the frustration is. And Nick, you can comment on this.
And Obama was not the first black president. He was another Jewish president.
When Alex Jones, who, by the way, has been sued into oblivion for things that he has said, irresponsibly defaming the parents of the Sandy Hook atrocity, the shooting there in Newtown, Connecticut. Sandy Hook shooting. He's trying to throw it over to Nick Fuentes, right? Like he's trying to Kanye, pipe down for a minute. Nick Fuentes, noted white supremacist. What do you have to say? Oh, man. Look, if this was a way to promote Alex Jones's show or whatever the hell Kanye's got going on, mental health awareness, they have done it because this is everywhere right now. Just ridiculous stuff.
That's honestly why I can't blame some of these hosts for having him on. Like, he's a gigantic star, probably the biggest person they could get on a lot of these podcasts, and I think that's why he's turning up, and they're not going to say no to him.
Well, yeah, no, of course. Look, if a lightning rod who is going to get on TV or a podcast or whatever and say God knows what and get you that kind of attention, it's a no-brainer. But there are, some folks who think that Kanye is really mentally sick and he's being exploited right now. I think Shapiro is saying that.
Yeah,
right
he said
now.
It's cruel to keep putting him in front of a camera.
I'm sure Ben Shapiro will have more to say about it at 5, coming up here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. His show follows the nation of Jake. All right, do we have any non-Kanye content?
Yeah, I got some fun stuff. You want fun
Let's
stuff?
go.
I got some
hold on a second. In fairness, this is pretty fun. I mean, it's insane. It's what it is. I don't agree with what Kanye is saying, but you can't say this isn't fun.
I got something to be happy about. How's that?
All right, let's go.
It finally happened. It's what we've all been waiting for. The trailer has dropped for Cocaine Bear.
Millions of dollars worth of cocaine fell from the sky this morning in Knoxville, Tennessee.
There's more of this out there. They dumped it somewhere.
Hey, Henry, check it out. Something got into it. A deer, maybe.
A lot of cocaine was lost. I need you to go and get it. No, don't eat that, don't eat that. Let's see what kind of effect that has on us.
So it's kind of going kind of goofy, but it's also like even in the trailer, extremely gory.
It's called Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
And this was actually a true story. I guess a bear ate something like 88 pounds of cocaine, and so it went insane and died, obviously. But I guess this is a dramatization, taking some creative liberties with Cocaine Bear.
A
I'll watch
couple
it.
of bear rampages.
I'll
probably have to. I'll probably when it comes to streaming, whatever it's on, I'll definitely check it out.
No, I've never heard of an animal getting high on cocaine. I do remember watching a video when I was in 6th grade, Mr. Emsminger's 6th grade science class, about a bunch of animals who would drink they would eat some fruit, like some fruit that only grew at one place, and they all knew. So the animal kingdom would all get together. They'd have like a big meeting and say, "Hey, this fruit is now ripe. We shall eat and feast on this fruit." And it would ferment in their stomachs, and it would turn into alcohol. They all got drunk. But I don't think I've ever read about any other animals doing cocaine.
On that though, someone did share underneath that tweet for the trailer. There's an article in India Today. 581 kilograms of marijuana stored in a police warehouse were eaten by rats. I don't think that movie would be quite as action packed, but
didn't they make that movie?
Might have a sequel coming out. You had
Wasn't
Willard.
that got the Rats of Nim? Was it like Mrs. Rigsby and the Rats of Nim? You remember that one?
I saw Willard with the dad from Back to the Future. I forget his name.
Crispin Glover.
Glover, yeah, and he could control
Willard.
rats. It was a weird one.
That was one of the only other movies he made. He only made a few movies.
He was Willy Wonka in some obscure indie movie or something, but he's a weirdo. But
he was Back to the Future, River's Edge, Charlie's Angels, Willard, just a few other movies, man. Crispin Glover, he's a conundrum. Just a riddle. Oh, hey, this clip is very odd. LeBron James is upset because nobody's asking him about Jerry Jones. Check it out.
I was wondering why I haven't gotten a question from you guys about the Jerry Jones photo. But when the Kyrie thing was going on, you guys were quick to ask us questions about that.
All right, well, let me explain something to you, King James, LeBron James. The basketball media was quick to ask you about the Kyrie Irving situation because Kyrie Irving is a basketball player. You're a basketball player. You play in the NBA alongside Kyrie Irving. So when Kyrie Irving was sharing anti-Semitic movie trailers and that he was punished by the league that, again, you play for and represent, it seemed like that would be something you had some insight on. Now, as far as being asked about the Jerry Jones photo, for those of you who don't know, Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and he has surfaced in a photo taken in it was so long ago. He was in high school in Arkansas, and he was in a crowd of people during school desegregation, and it appears that he was, he's one of the bullies. He's one of the guys standing in front of the school. We don't know the exact story. He might have been like, hey, what's all this commotion all about? We don't know what his presence there meant, but I can only speak to this. The reason that people didn't ask you about the Jerry Jones photo, LeBron James, is because he's a football owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and you are not a football player. You don't play for the Dallas Cowboys. So maybe it's because none of the NBA media really gives a crap what you think about the Jerry Jones photo. So how in the world does somebody like LeBron James, number one, I guess, what does he want to do? Just, dictate what questions get asked and answered, number one. how about if you want questions that have nothing to do with basketball, then like how about you answer some questions about China? Can the NBA media just ask you whatever questions that have nothing to do with basketball? That was just a very odd, like almost accusatory.
I was wondering why I haven't gotten a question from you guys about the Jerry Jones photo. But when the Kyrie thing was going on, you guys were quick to ask us questions about that.
Well, they asked the questions about that because you, like Kyrie, are a basketball player. This guy is the most arrogant, oblivious. He has no self-awareness. He comes off as a moron. And he's always carrying around a book because he wants you to think he's smart, but he's always on the first page of the book. And then I think somebody actually asked him about one of the books he was reading, and he just sounded like a child who was giving a book report on a book he hadn't read. I dislike LeBron James more and more every time I hear the man speak. What you got, bud?
I got just a quick update. I just saw the third season of The Mandalorian premieres March 1st.
Oh!
So if you're a fan of The Mandalorian, that one's coming back.
Mando. Yeah, Mando is, honestly, I think that I like The Mandalorian better now that I watched Boba Fett. Because The Mandalorian was all right. It's pretty good. And I watched the Boba Fett show, and it made me realize that, wow, Mandalorian's not so bad if this is what they have to offer. That Boba Fett show was really bad. Honestly,
the best episodes were the ones about the Mandalorian.
Right, yeah, the best ones with Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian came back in.
Andor. I might actually have to watch that one.
Yeah, Andor's just a slow burn at first. I tried to start Andor, which is another one of the Disney Plus Star Wars series, and I hear great things. I guess I wasn't in the right headspace when I started it. This is probably my favorite video. I don't know if you guys have seen yet. In France, people are getting really upset about protesters and activists blocking traffic. All right, and they're starting to take matters into their own hands. All right, I want you to listen. There's a big man, a large man, who is tossing around some of these activists, the guys who like sit in the street. There's a huge traffic backup. And so this French guy, I don't know what he's saying. He could be cursing, but it's in French, so I can air it. He is literally picking people up and throwing them out of the street, dragging them to the sidewalks and letting traffic go. This is one of those videos. It's one of those videos where exactly what you want to happen is happening. You know, and the next thing that's coming up is when these idiots go throw soup and stuff on art in art galleries and glue their hands to works of art. That people are going to start attacking those folks too. And it needs to happen. This is it. You have to do it. Don't call the cops. Just don't put up with it, and they'll stop. So they are just dragging these people out of the street and throwing them on the sidewalk and letting traffic move through. It's like, Bud, you've seen this, right?
Yeah, I think I made out the word obstruction. So, I mean, clearly because they're blocking traffic. So yeah. I love the irony of it that by blocking all these cars, they're just sitting there idling, just burning more fossil fuels for no reason.
Mais je suis, c'est obstruction. Garçon. It's great.
That's one of those not all heroes wear capes kind of guys.
Yeah, some heroes are giant dudes. He's kicking them. Oh, this is great.
He just grabs him by the collar and just drags him off the street.
It's the best. I'm just going to go ahead and retweet that. Follow @NationOfJake so you can check it out. All right, coming up, we're going to celebrate more of DIO-CEMBER. I do have some sad news. A Major League legend has passed on, and man, does this guy have stories. He's one of the greatest all-time characters in Major League Baseball. He is gone, but we will make our final goodbye to the man, the master of the spitball. That's coming up next, right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back.
Yes, have some.
The Nation of Jake, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Here we are, 3:53 p.m. on Thursday, DIO-CEMBER 1st. We're going to play Name Drop in about 15 minutes or so. If you want to play Name Drop, it's very simple. You call 683-0989. That's 901-683-0989. I've got an audio clip of somebody who was in the news. If you're able to identify who is speaking in our audio clip, I got a pair of Malco movie passes for you. Speaking of movies, it appears we have the first trailer for the 5th Indiana Jones film, possibly, quite likely, the final installment, at least with Harrison Ford, because as we've outlined extensively on this program, he's too old. Too old. He's not going to do another Indy movie. There's no way. You got it all beat up doing this one. Oh, so we will maybe take a listen to that clip of the new Indy trailer coming up. We also have Name Drop, so about 15 minutes from now. So keep it right here for hour number 3. Oh, we got news, sad news today. The great Gaylord Perry has died. Gaylord Perry, Hall of Famer, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, a master of the spitball who wrote a book about using the pitch. He died on Thursday at the age of 84. He died at his home in Gaffney about 5 a.m. I guess where's Gaffney? They just say Gaffney, North Carolina. I believe that's where he's from. You knew Gaylord Perry. He pitched for everybody, and he was actually the inspiration behind Eddie Harris. If you recall the film Major League, Eddie Harris was the aging pitcher who used Crisco, Bardol, Vagisil. Any one of them will give you 2 to 3 inches extra drop on your curveball. Sometimes if the umpire's looking at me, I just put a little jalapeno pepper up my nose. If I got to load up the ball, I just wipe my nose. That was all based on Gaylord Perry. Now, Gaylord Perry, he's got one of the greatest baseball stories. Here he is telling it as only he can.
Hello, I'm Gaylord Perry. Played baseball 22 years in the big leagues, had some great fun, but one of the funniest stories I had was the Man on the Moon story. 1964 in Pittsburgh, the old ballpark, I was hitting the ball out in the ballpark, and Harry Jupiter, a San Francisco sports writer in the afternoon paper, told Alvin Dark, our manager, this Perry kid's going to hit some home runs for you. Alvin says a few adjectives with that, said it'll be a man on the moon before he does that. So 5 years later, I'm on the mound in Candlestick Park in San Francisco, pitching against the Dodgers, and we have a moment of silence. The man had landed on the moon. Bottom of that inning, I hit my first home run.
That's an amazing story, isn't it? That's an incredible story. Number one, pitchers hitting home runs. I mean, I guess it happened a little bit more. It was more likely, back when they actually hit. But in 1964, the Giants manager Alvin Dark said there'd be a man on the moon before Gaylord Perry hit a home run. And in the bottom of the inning, after commemorating a moment of silence after Apollo 11 had landed, Gaylord Perry hits a home run. Only in baseball. R.I.P. the great Gaylord Perry. Let's play Name Drop, 683-0989. Call now.
Damn, boy. That's what I'm talking about, Jake.
I've worked in the private sector. They expect results.
The Nation of Jake on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
All right, welcome to the third shift.
Yes, have some.
And that's right, hour number 3 of the Nation of Jake on this first day of DIO-CEMBER. That's right, Ronnie James DIO-CEMBER. All DIO-CEMBER long in the Nation of Jake. We will honor the little man with the big voice. We'll also revisit the story of the devil horns and how they're not devil horns at all. We'll do it in the Nation of Jake in hour number 3. All right, coming up in a little bit, we've got Ron Hart. He's a nationally syndicated columnist. He's a Memphis State alum. Went there way back in the day. He writes a column every week, thedailycaller.com. We'll talk to Ron coming up, not just about his latest column, which I think is on FIFA. I think it's a FIFA Las Vegas is the name of it. We might talk a little bit of World Cup action, but we'll also talk about what's going on with Kanye. Also, what's happening with the economy. We got a recession. Is it coming? Is it already here? Ron's usually good about that kind of stuff, so we'll talk to him. Also, just getting word that a bill has been introduced in the Tennessee State Legislature that will require a gun permit in Shelby and Davidson counties. Now, I think it was April of 2021 when I guess they signed the permitless carry throughout the state of Tennessee. There are some people in Memphis, Shelby County, and elsewhere, they don't like the idea of people being able to carry a gun wherever they want without a permit. You must have a permit, I guess, at least in Shelby and Davidson counties. How will that work? I wonder. Will that get any support at the state level with a Republican supermajority? I got to say I doubt it. We'll get into the details of that coming up. And whatever you got for me on the Rick's Powder Coating text line, 683-0989. That is 683-0989. 4:06 p.m. here in the Nation of Jake, and it is time.
Shall we play a game?
What's your name, dude?
Nation of Jake's 4 o'clock name drop.
Drop!
On News Talk 98.9.
Say it!
The name of the game is Name Drop. All right. I've got a pair of Malco movie passes. If our contestant is successful, it is Nick today. Nick, you're the Nation of Jake. How's it going?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What you got going on this first day of DIO-CEMBER?
Not a whole lot. Just driving.
Just driving. Just you getting off work? You going to work? What are you doing?
Neither, really. Just running errands.
Oh, just chilling. Just going out, getting it done. Here, yeah, man. We're in the final, the home stretch to Christmas here in DIO-CEMBER. Are you jamming any Dio today?
No.
You should be. You should be. What are you doing then? What are you even doing? All right, look, have you ever played Name Drop with us, Nick?
No, but I've heard it enough times. I get the gist.
Gotcha. All right, for those who don't, though, Nick, it's a simple game. I've got an audio clip of somebody in the news. I'm going to play this audio clip for you. If you are able to identify who it is and identify them by dropping the name, you're going to win these Malco movie passes, all right? And I'm going to give you a hint. It is not Kanye, all right? It's not.
We're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time.
All right, I'm not doing it because I've been told, I've gotten some feedback from people. They're like, they're too easy all the time. So I've tried to step up my game, make them a little bit more challenging. So you are going to get one that is not Kanye.
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis.
All right, Nick, are you ready for a non-Kanye name drop?
Sure, man. Go ahead.
Here we go.
I'm feeling better for sure in the days after the game. Obviously, it was a painful one, but I'll be working with the medical staff, in all the days leading up and doing everything I can to make sure that I'm ready for Saturday. No, standing here, I'm okay. I'm not feeling pain. It's in a lot of movements. It caused a lot of pain in sort of my abdomen and just in subtle movements. But I'm gonna, like I said, work hard to make sure that I'll be 100%, come game time.
All right, Nick, drop that name.
Oh, my God. I have no idea. Is this a FIFA thing?
Well, I mean, it's
like a World Cup.
Well, I mean,
like a World Cup thing.
I can't give you hints. That would be unfair.
Oh, well, the problem is I don't watch it. No one cares about World Cup.
Oh, nobody cares about World Cup, do they?
No.
You don't care about the U.S. beating the pants off Iran and sending them home. Come on.
No.
Okay, that's cool. If you're not into
no
it,
one cares
here's
about
the
a
thing.
sport where you score one goal a game.
That's not true. That's not true. I love a pitcher's duel in baseball, Nick. Hey, you can't sit there and just describe your feelings on something to the rest of the people, man. That's tyranny.
You'd be surprised how many people agree with me, bro.
Okay. Hey, Nick, congratulations. People may or may not agree with you. You know what? Hey, Nick.
Hit me with it. Hit me with it.
You lose. Good day, sir. Loser. You're a loser.
Man. All right, bye, Nick. Talk to you later. Nick, if somebody wants to steal it, they can. I mean, it's pretty famous dude. I'm sick of making them easy. You want me to do the Kanye clip? Everybody knows it. Yeah, it's just simple. It's simple. But I guess the thing is, I didn't even confirm it was even a soccer guy. It could be anybody. It could be anybody. Nick just didn't even want to play. And he's over it. It's the equivalent of taking your ball and going home, isn't it? Crying about how difficult it was because nobody cares about soccer. I don't know if it's a soccer guy or not. How does he even know? 683-0989 if you want to steal it. 683-0989. That is the number to call. Dustin, you're in the Nation of Jake. What's up?
How's it going? I'm 0 for 2 at this point playing your game.
Well, hey, you know what? It's always a time for you to win. It's always a new game, a new day. 0 for 2, but you're looking for a win here. You are in position to do it. You've got the advantage. Can you drop that name?
I hope so. Is it Christian Pulisic?
Drop!
That's him. Oh my God! Look, we found Dustin. We found a guy who might care about soccer. Are you into the World Cup, Dustin?
I've seen clips here and there. I've not really watched the full game yet.
Right. No, I mean, neither have I. Well, you don't have to watch the full game. All you have to do is be American and know that Americans are competing against other countries. Wait, this is not hard. This is not difficult. Christian Pulisic, look, he scored the only goal in that game against Iran or Iran, however you want to say it, and he got a pelvic contusion. All right, but people were saying that he got kicked in the nads. And the speculation was that Christian Pulisic got kicked in the nads and he might be out against the Netherlands because he got kicked in the nether regions. Well, he says no. It's a pelvic contusion, and that sounds pretty bad. I mean, that actually sounds like a euphemism for having been kicked in the nads, doesn't it? Pelvic contusion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is it a true injury, or is it one of them where they fall on the ground after getting touched with a little finger?
No, it seemed like the collision was pretty legit. Watching it, watching the replays, really just listening to the replays. Because yesterday on the program we were reliving it.
Otra vez Tyler. Para Weston McGee. Se mete Serginho. Vino para Serginho Des. El toque medio posición.
Yeah, so he went down after that goal, and it looked very painful. Having a pelvic contusion, I don't know if is that a bone deal? I guess the pelvis is a bone. So having a bone bruise in your pelvis, that seems like it would limit mobility. But he says that he's going to do what he can to get back for Saturday. Hey, Dustin, why don't you try to do the goal call? Why don't you just belt out goal and hold it as long as you can?
Goal!
That was terrible. Try it again because I'm going to get the stopwatch going, okay? I want you to deep breath. Hold on. Let me find my stopwatch app. Here we go. I want to give you a 3, 2, 1, and I want you to just belt out and hold it as long as you can, okay? 3, 2, 1, go.
Goal!
That was 8 seconds. All right. That's great for bull riding, not so much for yelling goals. Are you in public right now? That'd be cool if you did that at the grocery store.
Oh, I'm outside of the store right now.
Okay, gotcha. You should go in the store and do it. I bet you'd be better at it. All right. Hey, Dustin, so you've been keeping up a little bit here and there with I know it's soccer, man. I know it's not, football. I know it's not hoops. It's not Grizzlies basketball or Tiger hoops. But, man, I was reading over in Iran, there were people who I guess are, not really thrilled with the Iranian regime who were celebrating Iran's loss. And now there's a guy over there in Iran who was killed by Iranian security forces for celebrating the Iranian national team's loss. That is hardcore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, check it out. From CNN. A man is reported to have been killed by security forces in northern Iran during public celebrations by anti-government protesters following the national football team's defeat against the United States on Tuesday. Norway-based rights group, Iran Human Rights, said that Mehran Samak was shot in the head by security personnel when he was out celebrating in Bandar Anzali on Tuesday night. IHR said they confirmed the information through several independent sources. So, look, I take exception to Iranian journalists going to the World Cup. United States players, are they ashamed of the country in which they live for, because although racism and social justice, all those types of things, when over in Iran, you can get killed by the government for celebrating the loss of the national team. It's unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's wild is what it is. So I don't know about you. I'll tune in at least a little bit on Saturday. I'm curious to see if, the improbable can happen, if Team USA can make a deep run into the rest of this tournament. Is that not compelling? I mean, just having, national pride on the line.
Oh, U.S., it's how long has it been? I'm not really sure about soccer, but how long has it been since they've been at the point they're at right now?
Well, it's been a long time. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's a big deal.
Yeah,
all right.
That's something to celebrate.
Look, exactly. Look, it's just like anything, man. If you're patriotic, jingoistic, it doesn't matter what it is, man. It could be that stupid curling that they do. Is if they're wearing U.S. jerseys doing it, then I'm all about it. All right. And honestly, I just didn't want to use some of the same old voices we already hear on Name Drop. So, Dustin, congratulations. You just won some tickets to go to the movies, Malco Movie Passes. Appreciate you playing, my man.
All right, thank you.
There you go. All right, there's Dustin. All right, sorry for anybody who got offended at a soccer clip. I get it, yo. I do get it. 683-0989, 683-0989. A bill has been introduced in the Tennessee State Legislature that's going to require a carry permit just in Shelby and Davidson County. I wonder if this is anything even has a chance. We'll talk about it next right here in the Nation of Jake.
Yes, have some.
All right, welcome back to it. Nation of Jake, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. 683-0989, 683-0989. That is the Rick's Powder Coating text line. Look, it's okay, guys. It's all right. Nick did not hurt my feelings. There are a lot of people saying Nick was rude. His attitude was abrasive. Look, plenty of people do not like soccer. And people who don't like soccer don't want to hear about it. They just don't want to hear about it. So we're having some fun. Look, Nick, we're friends. We're good. It's okay. I hit you with a soccer clip. I'm sure you wanted those movie passes. And so when you heard that, you're like, no, not soccer. Get it out of here. It's fine. It's fine. All right. 683-0989. We're all still buddies here. It's cool. If you can't bust balls, I mean, what can you do? I get it. It's fine. I can take it. It's fine. There's no need to always run over to the text line and start, getting mad. We've got people like, I'm on Team Nick. Oh, no, Nick's a jerk. Say, no, come on. Just be cool. We'll talk baseball during baseball season. World Cup, we'll talk a little World Cup. We'll do whatever. It's neither here nor there anymore. Everybody's cool. All right. Have I given enough attention? Good. All right. So we've got a bill that's being introduced in the Tennessee State Legislature. Here says headline from WREG. Bill would require gun permit in Shelby and Davidson counties. More than a year after Tennessee's permitless carry bill was signed into law, State Senator London Lamar from right here in Memphis wants to roll it back in Shelby and Davidson counties. Not sure I like the idea of a law that only applies to certain counties. It's state laws should apply to the entire states. Just like I didn't like that residency requirement law that just applied to Shelby and or Davidson County. And that's not really along the spirit of state law, is it? Lamar says the current law is making both areas more dangerous. Right now, if you look at the data from many of our cities regarding violent crime and the use of guns, that number has increased and more violent crime has happened, according to London Lamar. She has introduced a bill to reinstate the handgun permit requirement for the only two urban cores of the state. Rural areas would be excluded. Right now, our urban core has demonstrated that we are at capacity of not being able to handle such free law when it comes to guns. Such free law, such
I don't even know what the hell that means.
Such a free law. Do you mean like such freedom? Because I think that's what you really mean. We can't handle this freedom. Right now, cities have a unique challenge that the rest of the state doesn't have. In April 2021, the permitless carry bill was supported by Governor Bill Lee. We can protect law enforcement, we can protect our citizens, and we can protect our Second Amendment all at the same time. And it was according to Governor Bill Lee at the time of the passage of the permitless carry or constitutional carry law, which I think that's important to call it that. You do have a Second Amendment right that shall not be infringed, as what a lot of people would argue, and it's right there in the amendment. Several law enforcement agencies, including those in Memphis, opposed the law, saying similar measures created more crime. I don't think they created more crime. I think it probably makes MPD and other law enforcement their jobs a little bit more difficult, because if you before you had to have a permit, right? So if you didn't have a permit, you were committing a crime. So you could be charged with that crime. You could be stopped. You could be searched. You would have to produce a permit. Well, now you don't. So it gives them one less thing to stop you for or to investigate. That said, I don't think the folks who are out there committing gun crimes, that they are the ones who would even get a permit. I don't think that they would let a lack of a permit stop them from acquiring a gun and using it in a crime. Criminals don't follow the law. I also believe that the numbers don't really bear it out. Now, didn't we just get some crime commission report that says crime has gone down in the first 8 or 9 months of 2022? We just saw this just a couple weeks ago. It came out. I don't think that you can take a law that went into effect. When did it go into effect? I mean, just like a year ago. I don't think that you can take the crime problem that Memphis has had for decades and say, well, it was just because of this law we just passed a little while ago with the permitless carry. And now all these people who before had to have permits, now they don't, and now they're committing all these crimes. I just think you make it more difficult for law-abiding citizens to exercise their Second Amendment rights and to protect themselves. However, I will say this with this caveat. If local control is your argument here, that the people in Shelby County know what's best for Shelby County, then okay. Okay, if that's your argument, then all right. If you are for local control, because we always hear that argument. You know, people at the state level, they say, we want local control of our state laws, right? And then you get down to a local issue, and then the people in the counties and the cities say, oh, no, we want local control. Like, we want to determine what statues stand in our cities or what our gun laws are. But then they're the same people in usually the Democrat-run cities and counties who want federal laws to override state laws. So local control, and I use the quotey fingers, that's a convenient, rationale. That people invoke local control really to mean the most local, which is like me. I want to be in control. What do you think? I don't know that a state law that only focuses on 2 counties is going to fly. I don't think that that's right or correct. I think that violates the whole idea of a state law. I mean, what kind of law do you have if you can exempt different parts of the state from it? Then what happens? It's like, all right, well, people, you don't have the reciprocity like you do. Say, you got some gun laws like in Mississippi, and you can't take your gun, into Shelby County, without a permit. Would they recognize the permits of somebody, say, who has a gun permit from DeSoto County? Would there be that reciprocity? There's a lot of questions to ask. I don't think this has a chance. I don't think that the Republicans in the Tennessee state legislature, with their supermajority, passed this law so that they could 1 year later allow carve-outs to the law for Nashville and for Memphis. I don't see it happening. I think that this is a maneuver by London Lamar, kind of like the do something maneuver. She's going to introduce it. It won't go anywhere. 683-0989. Your texts are welcome on the Rick's Powder Coating text line. Coming up next, we will talk to Ron Hart. His latest column, it's about FIFA and it's about soccer. So just be warned, all of you, Nick. He's next in the Nation of Jake. Keep on playing the September songs in DIO-CEMBER, man.
Yes, have some.
It's the first day of DIO-CEMBER. We need to be all Ronnie James Dio all the time. We will check in with the great Ronnie James Dio from the great beyond. We will revisit Ronnie James Dio and how he was able to popularize the sign of the devil, which, by the way, is not evil at all, in case you didn't know. If you're a big fan of Ronnie James Dio, you might know the story. If not, you might learn something in DIO-CEMBER. Here we go. Also, just so you know, the Riverdale Shelby County Clerk's Office is not open yet. So it has missed yet another deadline. Wanda Halbert, she missed the deadline for Halloween. That was never going to happen. Then she told everybody it's going to be the end of the month or 1st of December. Well, neither happened. At the end of No Shave November, there is no new Riverdale Shelby County Clerk's Office. And now December 1st, it's half over, if not more. And so we'll see what the over-under is. What do you think? I'm thinking January 9th. Is that a Monday? January 9th, maybe a soft opening with January, I guess, 16th being the grand opening. We'll see. Whatever you think. 683-0989. Right now, we're going to check in with Ron Hart. He's a nationally syndicated columnist. You can read his stuff over at thedailycaller.com. That is where I see it anyway. I look it up there. The latest, Ron Hart, is the World Cup. Are you into this? People have very strong feelings. Either they really love the World Cup or they get mad when you bring it up.
I'm the latter.
He's not into it.
Not into it. No.
Okay.
Not a fan. Just, I don't know. It's just boring. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Us. That we beat Iran the other day, 1-0. Iran scored about as I did in high school.
Yeah. No, it's a game. Look, I'm not gonna watch some rando soccer match. Okay, I'm not gonna watch MLS soccer. I don't know any of those guys. But if the USA is playing and they're the underdog and they knock off Iran and Iran has been sending all their troll reporters over, then yeah, I'm into it. All you got to do for me, Ron, give me a storyline. Just give me a storyline, and then it can be compelling for me.
I'm pro-American, and I get it. Every 4 years. Was it every 4 years, right? I forget. Is it
I think it's 4.
Every 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's plenty. I guess I should get into it. I know it's fun. I know it's good.
Hold on, Ron. No. I'm not trying to pressure you to get into soccer. I don't think that that's the right way to do it. I just think that anytime the U.S., it could be curling, it could be discus. If there's a U.S. dude doing something and he's competing with somebody else from another country, I'm rooting for the U.S. guy. I'm not saying soccer's cool.
Okay. No, I don't doubt. I don't doubt it. No, I don't doubt that you will. But Biden had to fight Iran. Didn't some of the generals over there kind of threaten Biden, United States, and so I suggested in my column this week that Biden go speak directly to the Iranian people in Beverly Hills, California.
Oh, jeez. Dude, the way I look at it is that you've got, this global game, and there would be nothing better than to just go say, hey, this is a game we don't even care about, and we're going to beat you at it. Like, nobody around here takes it seriously any other time than World Cup time, and then we can still go out and beat you. I mean, that's how you assert your dominance on the world stage. That's why I think it's compelling.
We keep removing our goalies from our southern border. We're going to have a good soccer team pretty soon anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to have a hard time doing that. The soccer to me, it's just like, I don't know. I get it. I guess there's a lot of strategy going on out there that I don't know about. Americans are so spoiled. We like tractor pulls and crash derbies, and we have to have activity.
Yeah.
WWF wrestling, whatever it is, wrestling. There's going to be more than 1-0, 2-0 type of games, et cetera. So FIFA's corrupt. I've watched a lot of these documentaries on FIFA, this group of people that just sell things. When you think of soccer, you certainly think of Qatar, where they bought this thing. So you can't. Budweiser pays $75 million for sponsorship, and they get over there and they find out this Muslim extremist religious country. You can't drink. You can't drink beer. You can't eat pork. And certainly they're terrible in the LGBTQ community. So you can't eat, drink, or be merry, M-A-R-Y.
No, look, I look at it as I think that they're messing with us, man. They changed all those rules. I mean, there's no way that Budweiser decided to send all that beer over there if they knew that it was illegal. They just made it illegal. They just banned it from the World Cup games, and then people getting kicked out for wearing their rainbow flags or whatever it is. So, I wonder why, in a situation like this where you got a place like Qatar who's really bad on human rights and freedom, why wouldn't we boycott this thing?
Well, because it's international, and all the liberals love anything international. They love to speak French. They love it's international. You can do anything, right? It doesn't really matter. So, the German guy wore during Gay Pride Week, a German soccer player wore an armband. It was the rainbow color armband. But to be fair, Germans have worn, worse armbands over the years.
Well, and you know what? It's funny you bring that up. I don't know if you've been online. Have you seen all the stuff that Kanye West has been saying today?
No, is he still going off the rails?
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's gone off the rails at this point. Ron, he went on Alex Jones's, InfoWars podcast, and I'll just give you a should I play a whole clip for Ron? I think so. Ron, you got to hear what Kanye has said today. When he makes Alex Jones look like the adult in the room, and he is. Alex Jones looks like a sane. Like there's a lot of uncomfortable laughter going on here. Check out this clip, Ron.
You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
Well, I see good things about Hitler also. I love everyone, and Jewish people are not going to tell me you can love, us, and you can love what we're doing to you with the contracts, and you can love what we're pushing with the pornography. But this guy that invented highways, invented the very microphone that I use as a musician, you can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good, and I'm done with that. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
Especially Hitler. Ron, that is like double yikes. What?
Say what you will about Hitler. He at least killed Hitler.
Yes, my man. My man. Great minds think alike. Good Lord.
Yeah, well, there's a great stand-up guy recently. He talks about Hitler was the worst guy in the world. He tells about, he killed humanity, and he goes to his bunker at the end of World War II after tens of millions of people died, and he gets in there, and in his bunker, he marries Eva Braun. And the next day, he kills himself, commits suicide. So I guess what I'm saying is marriage is hard. Marriage is really hard.
No, but I guess a lot of people are speculating what would prompt Kanye to go this far. I mean, does he figure he's crossed the line and he can't go back, so he might as well? Is this performance art, or is there something wrong with the guy?
I don't know. I think that's screwed over by a Jewish lawyer, I guess, and he's just taking out on the whole Jewish population. I can tell. And someone's done him wrong out there. He feels like, and there's this false narrative out there among, the liberals. There's different types of people, right? You got to judge people by people, not by who they are. And I get all that. There's the notion. There's a article of faith among Jewish liberals that the blacks loved them because they were the financial and intellectual capital behind the civil rights movement. So there's this belief now that the blacks will fall out. They don't. I mean, there's not even Farrakhan, called Jewish people the devil. What's his name? Jesse Jackson called New York Hymietown. I mean, there's not been a lot of love between the Jews and the African Americans over the years. At least a lot of the African Americans toward the Jews. So this is probably and then when they get pushed back, and there's so much pressure when they say anything like this, and they come after them and they cancel culture them, he probably gets mad. I'm not defending what he's doing. I'm trying to rationalize the irrational, and he's not been the, but he's not, he's got some oxygen with this because what's the other guy, the basketball player that came out with some
Kyrie Irving. Yeah, Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie. And if you look at what Chappelle did on Saying It Live, which I thought was beautiful, by the way, beautiful. And even Jon Stewart, who came on Stephen Colbert and kind of danced around. So let's have the discussion. Basically said let's have the discussion here. And it was, I think, if you get a chance on YouTube to watch the clip of Chappelle's Saying It Live, he got a little heat from the Jewish community because he kind of normalized Kanye. And then the other thing was Jon Stewart, who is Jewish, who came on, as he said himself, as a spokes-Jew for the Jewish community. But he was pretty funny with the way he handled it. He basically said, let's have the discussion. So you can't bear these things. And
I think one thing that Chappelle was able to do with it is he kind of, looked at it from all sides, saying that, these are things these guys shouldn't be saying. But at the same time, there are certain feelings and certain perceptions out there that we're not allowed to talk about. And I think overall, Dave Chappelle's deal is we should be able to talk about anything. Now, I think that Kanye is going the wrong way with it. I don't think that he needs to be going and, that was just one clip you heard, Ron. I mean, he's saying all kinds of stuff. Here's another one.
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis. We're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time.
I mean, he just, and the whole while, Ron, he's wearing some opaque black mask. He's like wearing a black morph suit. It's very odd. Some people think that the guy's having a mental breakdown. I think Shapiro was saying, I think Ben was saying that at this point, anybody who has Kanye West on their podcast or on their show is exploiting somebody who's having a mental break.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, there's something wrong there. It probably didn't spend a lot of time in high school or in probably zero time in college studying the Holocaust and all that went on with the Jews. I mean, I don't think he has a full understanding. Neither does LeBron of the Chinese government and the dictators over there and how terrible they are to the kids, making them work in factories, making Nike shoes. LeBron doesn't understand it either from the left. Just be clear. And clearly Alyssa Milano doesn't understand when she says she'll sell her Tesla, and buy a Volkswagen. She doesn't have a full grasp of history either. So,
right.
And there's a lot of people. You got to be careful when you talk. You need to have a little better, because you've been coddled your whole life. I don't know if you saw the apology of Will Smith the other night on Trevor Noah's show, but it was the worst apology, the most egotistical, terrible apology I've ever seen about hitting Chris Rock. That was just terrible. So you get a chance to look at that as well.
Yeah, I think I've got a bit of that right here, Ron. If we would take a listen.
I guess what I would say, you just never know what somebody's going through. In the audience right now, you're sitting next to strangers, and somebody's mother died last week, somebody's child is sick, somebody just lost their job. Somebody just found out their spouse cheated. There's all these things.
Bingo.
There's strangers.
But Ron, at no point does he actually tell anybody what he was going through. And his whole conclusion was, we just need to be nice to each other. And you're like, at no point did you make any kind of amends here or any kind of gesture of apology.
Well, toward the end, toward the end, he says toward the end, what I've got to learn is how to forgive myself. Like, are you kidding? It's just a Hollywood star who's in a bubble for too long. He's Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on. He's been in Hollywood a long time. He has sycophants around him. He's probably telling him he's great. This is a really weird thing to happen to him. Talk about his dad beating his mother. I get that piece. But, Chris Rock has handled it with class. I mean, it wasn't that bad a joke. I mean, I make jokes all the time. I don't want people to take a swing at me. I'm sure people would like to. But humor, you got to leave some room for humor. Right, and
Correct.
Certainly the G.I. Jane joke. It was a pretty benign joke, I thought.
Yeah, I think it was kind of lame. I thought it was kind of lame and outdated and stupid. Like, I thought it was a groan joke. It's like a joke that was meant to be bad so people would groan. Like, it was purposely bad. Yeah. And so, the way I look at it is, number one,
to promote a movie too. You think about it.
Well, yeah,
the movie at the Oscars.
I was just about to say, like, when Will Smith, he creeps out on the Trevor Noah show, he's only there to promote a movie. He's only making this half-hearted apology because he's got a movie coming out, and it's going to be not until next year. I think Chris Rock is going to do a Netflix special when he's actually going to address what happened. So I think that's what people are really waiting on is what's Chris Rock going to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes a well-timed silence could be to your advantage, right? Chris Rock's handled it with class. It'll. I think he'll stay above the ground. Will's just out there, and he said, I think he probably said 75 times in that 5-minute interview, which means he's nervous, he's trying to fill the airways, and Noah gave him a lot of runway, a lot of rope. He didn't press him. This wasn't Oprah. This wasn't 60 Minutes. This was Noah, a friend of his, giving him a lot of rope, who's had some mental health issues as well. But, there was anger there, I guess. But what was funny about it is he laughed at the joke initially. And then when Jada rolled her eyes, he went up and slapped the guy. It just was weird. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. And he can't go back to the Oscars for 10 years. And he can be nominated and win it, but he can't go back there. It's just kind of a mixed message on all that. And I tell you what, if it had been a white-on-black person, it would be a hate crime. They'd be in prison right now. I'm telling you, that was assault in the highest form. LA looks the other way because he's a celebrity.
All right, Ron Hart, your latest column is over at thedailycaller.com. It's called FIFA Las Vegas, and you take a shot at the World Cup in Qatar. So, look, if you like soccer or don't like soccer, it doesn't matter. You can enjoy the column. Go check it out, Ron Hart. Hey, we'll talk to you next week, my man.
All right, Jake. All right, everybody. Take care.
There you go. There he is, Ron Hart. All right. 683-0989. 683-0989. We'll wrap up some odds and ends, and we'll also revisit Ronnie James Dio and how he did not invent but perfected the devil horns as we celebrate the first day of DIO-CEMBER, and we'll do it right here in the Nation of Jake. Yeah, celebrating the first day of DIO-CEMBER. Listen, just the raw power. That's got to be the big hit. That's got to be the big one, the biggest one, the one people know, Rainbow in the Dark, Ronnie James Dio, performing as Dio. I'm wearing my Dio hat today in honor of DIO-CEMBER. We will find every opportunity we can to celebrate DIO-CEMBER all month long. Also, your Christmas talk, the all-Christmas format is going to start sooner. We're just waiting. I'm just waiting on the go-ahead from Mr. Bohannon. I'm sure we've got a Christmas sponsor doing all Christmas talk, all DIO-CEMBER long. In fact, I think that Dio, he did a Christmas song at one point, on the Metal Xmas compilation. Let's. Yeah, I love the "We Wish You a Metal Xmas." This is a staple around the holidays in my home. Here we go.
Let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ the Savior was born on Christmas Day.
I think it's awesome to hear Ronnie James Dio, most associated with the Devil Horns, singing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, and alongside Tony Iommi. A bit of a Black Sabbath reunion there on that one. We wish you a Metal Xmas, right? A little DIO-CEMBER for you. I love the clip, though, of Ronnie James Dio explaining the metal horns. It's not really about evil. He actually says it's a way to ward off evil, and he tells the story here about the origin of the devil horns, which were popularized by the great Ronnie James Dio.
I'm of Italian extraction, and my grandmother and my grandfather on both sides of both my mother's and father's side came to America from Italy. And they had superstitions. And I would always see my grandmother when I was a little kid, with her holding my hand and walking down the street. She would see someone and go, "What's that?" And eventually learned that it was called the Maloik. And the Maloik was, someone was giving us the evil eye, so she's giving it protection against the evil eye. Or you can give someone the evil eye too. So invent it, no. But perfect it and make it important, yes.
He perfected the devil horns, the metal sign. And it's not the sign of the devil. It's a Maloik. If you heard what he said, it's a way to ward off evil. If somebody's giving you the evil eye, his grandmother would give him the Maloik. Wouldn't that be something else? You see a grandma walking down the street with like little baby Ronnie James Dio warding off evil eyes with a Maloik. So yeah, anytime you go out, now you know. Now you know when people give you the devil horns, you're giving them a Maloik. All right, a little preview of what we will cover on tomorrow's program. Again, a Friday in the Nation of Jake, anything goes. Karaoke night, and we'll be along. Maybe karaoke night we'll do a Dio song. I think that'd be fitting for DIO-CEMBER. We'll also have, what else we do on Fridays, bud? We do hate mail. There's going to be plenty of that. Just get Nick to send a text about how much he hates soccer and hates when I talk about it. Good Lord. But then we've got this. Steve Mulroy, King Mulroy, the DA of Shelby County, has unveiled now the Justice Review Unit. That's right. Steve Mulroy has an entire unit to review cases and to, find wrongful convictions, which, look, I'm not against that. If somebody is wrongfully convicted and they are sentenced to jail and they didn't do it, then yeah, you need to review it. We'll get into some of the details of that. If you got a wrongfully convicted person, that means the real criminal is still walking around the streets of Shelby County, and not the worst initiative in the world. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. We'll do it tomorrow, 2 to 5, right here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. In the meantime, happy DIO-CEMBER, and so long, and thanks for all the fish. Maloik! Maloik!